If Alaskans ever needed a biblical justification for their favorite summer pastime, they need look no farther than John 21:3. We heard it here today, wherein Simon Peter says, "I am going fishing." And the others reply, "We will come with you." It's right there in Scripture, gentlemen and ladies. So the saying goes, if you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. You teach a man to fish, he'll sit in a boat and tell tall tales all day, right? Now, most Alaskans don't fish for a living. We do it to relax, enjoy companionship, fill the freezer. But up until he met Jesus, Simon Peter was a commercial fisherman, not fully appreciating the implications of the first two appearances of the resurrected Christ, who could. It looks now like he's just going back to the life he knew before, doesn't it? And we might also note with similar results. But there really is. There really is no going back, is there? He may not realize it yet, but the resurrection literally changes everything. So much of this encounter with the risen Christ is a reflection that we see of previous moments with Jesus, isn't it? Think about it. Just like on the shores of the Sea of Galilee, they fished all night and caught nothing. But at the word of Jesus, their nets are full to breaking. Again, realizing that it is Jesus, Peter jumps out of the boat, just like he did when he went out on the waters towards Jesus during the storm, only this time Peter gets wet. There's a reason for that. We'll get into that in just a second. And just like when Jesus fed the 5,000, the menu is what? Fish and bread. If you didn't pick up on that, if you didn't get the first two, you couldn't miss the third one. There is no doubt in their minds that this is Jesus as they sit down to share a meal. They're just having breakfast. Nothing outrageous. Very kind of homey scene, actually. But then things take a very interesting turn, don't they? There's a loose end that needs to be tied up. Jesus takes Simon Peter aside for a little chat. Notice that Jesus does not address him by the new name that he gave his friend at Caesarea Philippi. Instead, he uses his original name, Simon, son of John. Did you catch that? There's a reason for that, too. 3 times, remember, Peter had denied Jesus. Now, in the grammar of the day, and just like today, the third time, that implies completion. So 3 times of denying somebody is a complete denial. And it's kind of actually works into the grammar, into Hebrew and Aramaic grammar as well. They don't have a good, better, best structure. So if something is good, then you say it once. If it's better, you say it twice. If it's complete, you say it a third time. You remember the How Chinese restaurant just down the street here? You know what how means in Chinese has a similar structure in their grammar, apparently. You know what the how means in Chinese? It means good. So the How Chinese restaurant, pretty good Chinese restaurant. I think it would have been a little, So that's what's going on here. There's a completeness to it. It's the most that you could do. He has completely denied Christ. And in denying Christ, Peter gave up his heritage. He needs to be reconciled. He needs to be reconciled back to God. Just so. Then 3 times, Jesus asks him if he loves him. And 3 times, Simon Peter replies, "Yes, Lord, you know that I love you." You can almost hear his frustration in the text. It's in every language, too, that you can translate this into. And thus, Peter's threefold denial is reconciled by his threefold profession of love. He is restored. And we know this because when they are all finished, and actually Jesus gives him an indication of the kind of death he's going to receive, we know this because at the end of this, Peter receives the same invitation as their first encounter. Jesus looks at him and says, "Follow me." And Peter does. We know that. Peter will follow Christ in his Jerusalem ministry, as we heard in the first reading. He will go to Antioch. He will go to Rome, where he himself will be crucified upside down, albeit, on the spine of the Circus of Nero and at the foot of the Vatican hillside, in the year 64 AD. Oh yeah, Peter followed Jesus. This encounter, though, with the risen Christ gives me great hope. Because unlike Peter, I can't count the number of times I've denied Christ by my sins. I don't know about you. But like Peter, I have come to know that as many times as I have denied him, if I turn back to him in love, Christ is willing to restore me to grace. It is an infinite love that I cannot fathom, of which I am not worthy, but for which I am extremely grateful.